today the topic that we are discussing is co-production, reality, myth, and necessity. So what is basically a co-production? When filmmakers or filmmaking companies from two different countries join hands to make a film. And there can be a lot of benefits. We get access to bigger and newer markets, and there is an availability to pool new resources. Then we can get access to the partner governments' incentives and subsidies. There can also be an increase in the quality of production because we get access to specialized skills and equipments. Also, we can get an opportunity to learn from the partner and also get access to desired locations and perhaps get cultural benefits. But are there any disadvantages? And what are the ideal conditions for a co-production to succeed? So to throw light on this subject, co-production, reality, myth, and necessity, we have a wonderful panel with us here today. I would first like to invite on stage Mr. Shaji and Karun. I would now like to request Mr. Eric Ong from Malaysia, Mai Rosmanlil. Mai is a filmmaker from Estonia. And finally, I would like to introduce you to your moderator for today, Mr. Shanab Alam.
I'd like to start by saying that cinema in any of its form, short, documentary, feature length, is a collaborative effort. So it's only very appropriate that we discuss co-production with this fantastic panel here. And I think it's Shaji and Karun, Janu Barua, his very good friend, and a whole lot of them, Girish Karnad, Shyam Benegalji, whose films really opened up the international market for our Indian cinema and also opened up the opportunities for co-production. So without getting into any more details, I'd like to first start with Shaji and Karun to please share with us, at that point of time when you were making films and the avenues were very limited as far as releasing films were concerned, which was just theatrical in India, and your films did travel very well internationally, what were the opportunities that came in front of you?
For such intelligent question to me, it's quite an important question for anybody for that matter. The reason when you make films in India, see, we actually brought up with so many stories through our grandparents, granny telling to the child to make them to sleep. It's all very important factor that how you develop your culture in your own thoughts, your feels and everything, the pain, and you look at the aesthetics of the way of looking at your own life around you. That's different for different people, different countries, different way of looking at it. But then still, if you look at the whole scenario of idea of looking at the culture, the idea of looking at the art, the idea of looking at any form of art, then you see that it's like a small flower in your own say surroundings, which doesn't have a smell or anything, but it has a shape, it has a feel, and that belonging to the whole world, not you. So the story is also like that. A small little flower which is may not be noticed within your views, or sometime you later you discover it is your own small flower which you don't find out in Antarctica or Arctica or any other places, but still it makes the world. The story is also like that. If you look at it that way, you see the same thing of your own, that belonging to the world. You are rediscovering yourself through that idea of seeing it, watching it, telling the content part of it, with the idea of cinema now, where you have all form of your sound, your visual, your own audience, which you see them. China makes films, Malaysia makes films, Estonia makes films, and if you look at it, it's belonging to you, not that it is belonging to them. So when I made the film with Piravi, probably even Aravindan, which I was doing. And I have worked with many important filmmakers in Kerala as a director of photography also. But then there are ideas for me to translate into the visual form also. But then how you look at it. So the look at it with your own, like your own food. You the smell, the color, your own way of addressing that, the taste of it. All those things belongs to your own mind, how you look at it. Therefore, whatever you want, you make it very honestly. Your attempt is very honest. Idea of honesty, of looking at what you wanted to tell to the people, whether it communicates them properly through your own way of telling. That like what I said, the granny telling a story to your grandchild to keep them. There is a way of addressing them, at where to start, how to start, and how to end it. All those is matters. How you then, if you know the recognition of cinema as your tool to tell a story, what a simple story or a complex story, to how to address way, I think it reaches the people all over the world.
Europeans are the ones who actually formatted co-productions. It just happened very naturally because various European countries started producing films together, and then it became sort of a standard. And then, of course, it was legitimized by various co-production treaties. So someone like from Estonia, when you're producing films, which is a much smaller country and a smaller market, how does co-production affect your films?
Well, co-productions have affected a lot, and actually I think that the future in Estonia is that if you want to make a film, it needs to be a co-production, because the standards are rising and the needs are rising. We have very, very skilled crew, but the finances we need bigger finances, and that's why we are starting to co-produce more and more. And also in recent years we are offering production service for foreign productions, so that bigger countries making bigger films are coming to Estonia to shoot.
The Southeast Asian cinema is growing at a phenomenal rate, and someone who operates both in Malaysia and Singapore, how does co-production help you to reach out? Or is it still very insular within Malaysia? Or do you reach out to, like, say, other South Asian countries like Indonesia and Singapore? Or do you reach out furthermore into Europe?
Especially in Malaysia, there are a lot of co-production between China and Malaysia, you see. So, from what I understand, maybe there are some 70% true, and the other 30% I might not be too sure. But the co-production mostly is because of facilities and services. Kind of co-production means China will come to Malaysia as Malaysia provide location for the shoot. Yeah, so it's very easy to shoot in Malaysia. Yeah, so they provide a very good premises for film shooting. And the other thing is the cost of the movie making in Malaysia comparatively to China is much cheaper. So the China investor, they would like to come to Malaysia and co-pro with a local company, to make a movie. Yeah.
Which is what is happening with even American companies coming into India now, because they've realized that the making a film in India is much cheaper. In fact, I would like to add there that going to a country and shooting there and getting the benefits and the subsidies is the most basic form of co-production. That is more a collaboration. But I think what you rightly said, the investments increase. And Shaji sir said that you get access to better technology, and probably you can experiment with technicians from other parts of the world. And I would like to also wholeheartedly agree with Eric, because I have been a beneficiary out here with our film called Lunchbox. It wouldn't have been what it is if it wasn't a German-French Indo co-production. It went to some 80 countries, and I think the credit goes to our European partners for spreading it wider. So I think the biggest take home is the audience reach for our films, which otherwise gets limited. So do you think moving ahead, I'd like to ask all three of you, the moving ahead, co-productions will be a necessity?
Now the idea of your own message reaching all over the world through the cinema is one of the most soft diplomacy in the whole of the world. Your enemy country is also your friend when you see a cinema of that country. So the most simple way of diplomacy through the culture, probably the strongest media at this moment is the cinema. And then when you talk to an audience in front of them, it's not Taj Mahal alone is India. Your emotion at this level, on this time, is very important for the whole place also. So the understanding the human relationship and human psyche is more important. And now with so many ideas of image translations for the social medias and everything, and a commitment for 1.5 hours to 2 hours within the darkness in the cinema houses, I believe, honestly, as a filmmaker, that is one of the finest memory also to the audience. The reconstructing the memory through the cinema from any places. That's what happened to the Lunchbox also, the memory. The memory of that has been addressed very precisely, which is been, memory is a common indication to any human being, but that to remember it, future, that idea of not in television, you see in the darkness, you see in the silence, where the craft is different for cinema. And I think I look at that situation with more clear to reach people what is we to anybody and what is they to us to anybody. And this moment, it is very precise to address they are who we are.
Yes, I think that it is. It's going that way, that it's going more and more co-productions, that it's necessary to do it this way, because it, as we spoke a few days ago, that it opens up new markets, you get more distribution opportunities. And for example, one Estonian-Georgian feature film called The Tangerines was nominated for Oscar some years ago. And I think it only happened because it was a co-production. It had a theme that was related to both countries, and it was a really strong movie that was made possible by putting the best input from both countries, creatively, technically. So I think it's a great example of that co-productions can raise what your film can achieve.
Yeah, I can speak on behalf of Shaju sir, because I know that his film has really traveled despite the fact that it was in Malayalam. Language never mattered. And for an Estonian film, I think it is the dynamism of European co-production that today films can be made in Estonian language and Georgian language as well, rather than just French and German. Would you agree on that?
Yes, I agree. I agree on that. And actually, I think that the European public, European viewers are also getting more interested in foreign language films, that when the quality of the films that are made is increasing, so then again, language is not the barrier. It's the international language of the visual language that connects.
And most importantly, language is not a barrier. I mean, this is 4 filmmakers out here sitting and saying that, and it's very important that this discussion is happening in Assam, where we have seen in last 3 years some remarkable films by young filmmakers. And I think for them to reach out of just the Assamese state they should also look into the co-production, because like Estonia is a small Assam in Europe, like so Assam in India can also reach out to a global market if the co-production is explored properly, not just within the country but internationally.
I think that the first thing, if you want to do a co-production, is that you first need to think about your story, about your script, that what connections does it have, that maybe it has some characters, some locations, some historic events that are connected to some specific country, then that might be a really good starting point. But if you don't have that, then you still can do co-productions, because your co-producer can offer you a really good artistic input by maybe involving a production designer, DOP from abroad. Maybe if your film is shot in studio, you can do it abroad and get and then how to find a co-producer? It's maybe the main question.
That is always a struggle, and that is a challenge, and that is the fun of making cinema as well.
They have certain fixed ideas to reach masses. If you look at the masses, like a mic and then a huge audience in front of, so they intoxicate them their own ideas through that. But then the brain don't need that much. They are struggling to find out what is nuances. It's a food for the brain. It's not for your body alone. Any intelligent human being always struggle to get what is an idea of intelligence. That is the story part of it. That part, I think it comes from anywhere.
We should not overlook, and especially since we are also producers, that it de-risks, it divides the risk for all the investors or the producers. The moment there's a co-production, it suddenly becomes feasible for any story to be told, which otherwise would be a little bit risky because you don't know what the film is eventually going to do. But the moment you have more producers, it suddenly makes every story or every film feasible. And that, I think, is the very, very important reasons why co-productions will increase the size of the cinema market around the world.